digital camera. Now, obviously, digital cameras, they've been out for, over 30 years at this point, but it's only been in the last 10 years that they've become cheap enough and good enough that we have put them in literally everything. Everybody's got cameras everywhere. There's cameras all over cars. Every phone has multiple cameras. Now, obviously, cameras have become cheap enough that we can put 3 or 4 in a phone and still have the phone be cheap enough to afford. Now, obviously, there's also very expensive digital cameras that can cost tens of thousands of dollars. I film all these videos on my Sony a6100 with just the kit lens, and I think it cost me about $700 when I bought it. So obviously I'm not in the price range of those $10,000 cameras, and I obviously don't have tons of money to spend on lenses either. So oftentimes I go on Amazon or wherever and look for cheap camera lenses for the camera. And I love the idea of buying a cheap lens and doing weird stuff with it. That's how I like to take my macro shots. I have a really cheap lens that I use for that. But while I was on Amazon searching for those cheap lenses, I stumbled across this 4K Ultra HD digital camera that claims to have a 48 megapixel sensor and a 16 times powerful zoom. It's also a video camera. So I bought this a couple weeks ago, and I've been playing around with the actual camera for a couple of weeks. And yeah, that's what this video is about a cheap digital camera from Amazon that is pretending to be more than it actually is. Presenting the Wakiko digital camera for photography, 4K 48 megapixel vlogging camera for YouTube with Wi-Fi, 3-inch 180 degree flip screen, 16 times digital zoom, 55 millimeter wide angle and macro lens, 32 gigabyte card, and 2 batteries in purple. Oh, and it was $89, and you can get it overnight if you order it now on Amazon. Yeah, it's purple. I bought the purple one because I could get it within one day, and being a spoiled person, I don't want to wait more than one day to get my cheap electronics delivered to my doorstep. So here she is, the 4K 48 megapixel camera with Wi-Fi that I didn't use because I was scared to download the dodgy app off the Play Store because I didn't want to ruin my phone. If we're looking at the top of the camera, we got a power button, a shutter button, we got a shoe, and then we got the mode selector on this mode selector. So we got 5 different modes. We got the standard photo mode. After that, we have timed mode or whatever, where it takes pictures every 30 seconds, 2 minutes, however you decide to set that up. We have the standard video mode. Then we have the time lapse mode. After that, we got the slow motion video, which is exactly what it sounds like. Slow motion. It does up to 120 frames per second in 720p. And then finally, this little thing here is just so you can go back and look back at your pictures. On this side of the camera, we have nothing. On the bottom, we have that 32 gigabyte memory card, a standard 1/4-inch 20-threaded port for, tripods, that kind of thing. So it can hook onto any tripod you got. And there's also the battery compartment under here where where your battery is kept. The batteries that come with it are 1500 milliamp hour batteries, and it comes with 2 of them. The battery life actually seems to be really good. I used this for over a week and I never saw the battery go down at all. I've never even used the second battery. On the other side of the camera, we've got a mic port and a little flap that hides a mini HDMI as well as a USB Type-C, which is really nice to see because even my Sony camera doesn't have a Type-C. It's using both a micro USB and a micro HDMI, and I'm terrified of breaking both of those. On the back, we have the screen that flips out. It does not rotate, so it only does this motion. We got your zoom buttons. You've got directional keys, an OK key, a display key, and a menu key. And on the front, you do have a flash as well as the lens. Now, when you kind of take a look at it like this, it looks like a really pretty nice camera. Like it would do pretty well. The lens glams it up a little bit, makes it look more professional. Take that lens off, it loses some of its cool factor. Now, this lens actually breaks into 2 different lenses. You unthread it, and you get this one and this one. This one here is your macro lens. So if you thread that back onto the camera, you can now take cool macro shots of things. And it actually does work pretty well. You can get right up on the subject and snap a picture. What I will say is the white balance on this thing is terrible. This is just a glorified point and shoot camera that happens to have basically a webcam sensor on it. But it does have that macro lens. If we take this other lens and put it on top of the macro lens and thread that on, this is now your wide angle lens. The pictures the wide angle lens takes are only slightly wider than the camera takes without it. And I mean very slightly, like maybe an extra 5 degrees. And the problem with both of these lenses is they tend to distort the image pretty bad, especially the macro lens. It totally distorts anything outside of that exact focus point. So those are the lenses, and I tend to just keep this on the camera at all times because it seems to be about the same with or without the wide angle lens, and I think it just looks a little better. And when I had to take this out into public, I was a little embarrassed to be carrying it around, so I made sure this was on there so it didn't look quite as embarrassing. The video is okay. It doesn't have any image stabilization in the camera. There's no optical image stabilization, and there's also nothing built in terms of software that can stabilize your video. So the video on this thing is incredibly shaky. Now you might be thinking to yourself, for $90, it doesn't sound that bad, and those pictures actually don't look that bad for $90. And you know, on the surface, I would agree with you. This would be a fun camera to have as maybe like a goofy little B-roll thing, or to put in situations where you don't want to worry about your camera. But when this camera stops looking so good is when we compare it to something else, like a Pixel 4 XL. Now, obviously, this phone came out almost 4 years ago. It's not a new phone, which means you can find them used online for pretty cheap. So if we scroll through eBay, you can see that obviously the Pixel 4 XL, being an older used phone, sells for not a lot of money. You can pick one up from anywhere between $80 and $120. Now, when you start comparing these two, that's where the cracks in the Amazon camera begin to form. Now, where the Pixel comes out on top is definitely in the software side. Obviously, you can see as I pull this out, I can just snap pictures in an instant. There's basically no shutter lag when I'm taking the picture. If we compare that to our beautiful little purple camera here, that's about as fast as you can do it. Now on the Pixel 4 XL, the camera is stabilized both with a little mechanical device as well as while you're taking video. It is really good at kind of cutting down on movement and that kind of thing in your video. Now, when we compare pictures from the 4 XL and the Amazon camera, there's a clear winner, and it's the 4 XL. The Pixel takes wonderful pictures. The color accuracy is pretty good. It's not oversaturated. It really is a good, clean picture. It's quick, the white balance is right, and I don't have to think about it. I just know I can pull this thing out of my pocket and take a picture that's going to be good. I also know that the video is pretty good. The Pixel definitely outperforms the Amazon camera in video. Just in image stabilization alone, this is a far superior device. And a lot of that has to just do with the software and the processing power of this phone. Obviously, there's not a big processor in this where there is in the Pixel. The Pixel has, you know, a phone processor, but that processor in the phone is able to take these pictures and videos to the next level where this cannot do it. So like I've said, the Pixel is a much better camera and video camera than this Amazon camera is. And that really brings up the question, who is this camera for? Obviously, they're targeting people who are looking to either get into YouTube or get into photography or get into something like that. And they've taken a cheap camera sensor and put it in a cheap body and made it look professional. Or at least they tried to make it look professional. But the thing is, you go on Amazon and it's got a 5-star rating. But it's only once you take a little bit of a closer look that you find out that all the reviews on this product were by people who got the camera for free. So obviously they're all 5 stars with the exception of one guy who had the balls to give it 4 stars. Now, if I were writing an Amazon review, this would be a 2-star camera because it's not worth $90, especially when you compare it to a Pixel or any other used phone in that price range that far exceeds anything this thing can do any day of the week. So truthfully, I have no idea who this camera's for. It might be kind of a fun gift for like a little kid who really likes to take pictures of something and you don't necessarily want them to have a phone. This would be a great idea for them. So when you're shopping on Amazon for cheap products, make sure you read the reviews a little bit. You might find out that, hey, everybody who reviewed this product got it for free, and maybe the product isn't really all that great. If you're looking to get into photography or start a YouTube channel or start making videos, avoid products like this. Stick with what you know. Chances are you've probably got a better phone in your pocket than this Pixel 4 XL to take videos and to take pictures with. So thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, please leave a like. If you didn't like the video, I appreciate you watching it this long. And I'll see you on the next video. Oh, and stick around. I'll play a little video sample of this for you.
Come on, you can focus. Focus. My God, this camera's a piece of